You get home from work and immediately collapse onto your bed, pulling out your phone to escape the dull, heavy reality around you. But as you scroll, you pass posts from people who seem to have everything: effortless wealth, perfect love, and the freedom to do whatever they want. Suddenly you look back at your own life and feel entirely hollowed out. You wish you didn't have to think about any of this anymore. You don't want to die? Not at all. You're just tired of the sheer effort it takes to keep existing. The world looks at your state and quickly slaps on labels like lazy, uninspired, or undisciplined. Well-meaning people tell you to go outside, move your body, and just stay positive. But here is the cold truth. This isn't a failure of willpower, and screaming at yourself to try harder will never work. There is a specific neurological mechanism in your brain that is draining you dry. To get out of this paralyzing loop, you must first understand why you feel so stuck, even when you know exactly what you should be doing. In psychology, this profound state of depletion has a clear name: existential exhaustion. To understand how it works, imagine you are a smartphone. On the outside, your screen is completely dark, and everything looks perfectly normal to an observer. But deep inside the system there are 45 heavy, resource-intensive apps running in the background at the exact same time. One app is constantly worrying about money. Another is stressing over social media peer pressure. A massive one is carrying unhealed wounds from your past. You also have internal apps constantly running to ensure you are a good child, a patient partner, and an outstanding, high-performing employee. All of these demands are silently burning through your battery every single second of the day. This is why you can find yourself sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing, yet feel as physically and mentally devastated as if you just crossed the finish line of a marathon. The human brain was simply never designed to handle the sheer volume of information and psychological pressure of the modern world. While our ancient ancestors mainly focused on immediate survival goals like finding food and avoiding predators, modern life demands something entirely different. Research from Cornell University reveals that the average adult today makes up to 35,000 decisions every single day. These choices range from what to wear and which route to take, to how to reply to a passive-aggressive email, or whether to scroll past a piece of distressing news. This creates a massive, non-stop load on the prefrontal cortex, the logical thinking center of the brain. Evolution has not fully prepared us for this continuous cognitive bombardment. When your prefrontal cortex is chronically overused, a state known as decision fatigue inevitably kicks in. At that critical point, your brain's executive decision-making system essentially goes on strike to preserve what little energy is left. That is why, by the end of a long day, a simple question like, "What should we eat tonight?" can genuinely make you want to cry or snap. You are tired from thousands of tiny details piling up into the crushing weight of a whole life. From this baseline of fatigue, things begin to branch into a much more frightening psychological state that experts call anhedonia. Anhedonia is the significantly reduced ability to experience pleasure from things you used to love. It isn't exactly sadness, nor is it the kind of sharp emotional pain that makes you weep openly. It is far more empty than that. It is a flat, gray spectrum of nothingness. Your brain's reward system, which produces dopamine, has been systematically overworked and now responds sluggishly to any stimulus. Think back to the experiences that used to light you up inside. A highly anticipated movie release, a night out with close friends, or a notification that made your heart beat a little faster. Now, you look at those exact same things, and absolutely nothing happens. Logically, you know they are supposed to be fun, but your biology refuses to release the chemical cascade of excitement. You aren't necessarily sinking into a clinical depression, but you don't feel alive either. You are just rhythmically drifting through a script. You wake up, do what you have to do, go home, get in bed, and repeat the cycle. Some nights you might turn on a show, watch for 10 minutes, and turn it off. Not because the content is bad, but because you lack the emotional currency required to care about the characters. You feel like a detached actor reading lines in your own life without experiencing them. The most painful part of this state is that you deeply miss your old self, the version of you that knew how to feel hopeful about tomorrow. When your nervous system realizes it cannot feel joy, It shifts its core objective from thriving to basic survival, searching desperately for safety. This is exactly where the behaviors manifest that society labels as laziness or a lack of discipline. For instance, you might spend 3 hours mindlessly scrolling through short videos while actively feeling guilty for wasting time. Alternatively, you might choose to watch the same comfort sitcom for the 10th time, while your list of new, unwatched shows keeps getting longer. People around you might judge you, telling you that you need to get off the couch and experience new things, but they don't understand the underlying mechanics. This coping behavior is actually an unconscious defense mechanism. When your nervous system is completely battered by the unpredictable variables of real life, it craves absolute predictability. You rewatch the old show because you know exactly how it ends and precisely when the jokes are coming. There are no plot twists or emotional risks. It is a perfectly sterile safe zone. This defensive retreat wreaks havoc on your relationships, trapping you in a suffocating, isolating loop. You desperately want to be understood by someone, but you are simultaneously repelled by the immense energy required to explain yourself. When you see a thoughtful text from a close friend asking to grab coffee, it doesn't feel like an invitation. To an exhausted mind, it feels like an immediate threat to your remaining energy reserves. Your brain instantly runs a draining simulation of the social hurdles required just to show up. Because replying feels as heavy as writing a massive essay, you choose silence and leave the message unread, or reply days later with a short excuse about being busy. This calculated withdrawal immediately creates a secondary layer of overwhelming guilt. You lie in bed staring at your screen, feeling like a bad friend, an uncaring child, and a disappointment. You know this isolation is slowly eating away at you, but you would honestly rather endure the cold loneliness than take on the weight of someone else's emotions. The deepest tragedy of existential exhaustion is that an outsider looking at your life might not see anything wrong at all. You have become entirely too good at pretending you are okay, because the bills still need to be paid. You still force yourself to wake up, fix your hair, walk into the office, hit your deadlines, and participate in shallow lunch small talk. You might even act as the stable rock who listens to everyone else's problems. From the outside, your system reads green, and no one throws a life raft to someone who looks like they are swimming perfectly, but they don't see what happens the exact second the apartment door closes behind you. The performing smile drops instantly like a stage curtain cut from its ropes, and your entire body collapses onto the bed. You don't even have the strength to change out of your work clothes. You just stare into the dark, realizing all your energy was spent playing the role of a normal person. Wearing this mask every day wears down the soul and teaches your brain a painful lesson. Your actual suffering has no place in a society that only rewards productivity. To survive the days when even breathing feels like a chore, you must reject toxic positivity and instead implement a mechanical 3-stage survival protocol. Stage 1 is dropping the persona through what psychologists call social fasting. You must give yourself permission to go on a temporary emotional strike to close the gap between your empty interior and your smiling mask. Send a transparent text to your inner circle stating that your battery is flat and you are going off the grid for a few days to breathe, removing the pressure to perform. Stage 2 requires you to set up a zero-decision protocol to heal your fried prefrontal cortex. You must intentionally turn your daily routine into a temporary autopilot system, reducing small choices as close to absolute zero as possible. Mimic innovators who wear the same rotating outfits every day to eliminate decision fatigue. Hard code a basic, predictable weekly food menu so your brain doesn't waste mental currency analyzing variables. When you eliminate daily chaos, your nervous system finally receives the signal of safety it needs to relax. The final stage is strictly separating junk rest from deep biological rest. Lying in bed scrolling through social media for hours is junk rest, the cognitive equivalent of fast food that forces your optic nerves and dopamine receptors to run a high-speed marathon while your body lies still. True recovery requires deep sensory deprivation like non-sleep deep rest, NSDR. Put your phone in another room, lie flat on your back in total silence for 20 minutes, and let your overstimulated mind be bored. That discomfort is the exact moment your nervous system finally switches from fight or flight into deep, cell-repairing rest.